Now, some of y'all may be wondering, why did I start this video off by showing that right there? First reason is this. I believe that a picture is indeed worth 1,000 words, and therefore a video is worth 1,000 more. There's no way I could have explained this to y'all in a better way than I could have shown it to you. So as you see right here, look at that image. This little puppy is being held up with the Israeli flags on it. And as you can see, the man holding up a quote unquote Palestinian flag is basically threatening the little dog. That's what I'm getting from it. You could take what you may. Maybe he is showing his affection for this cute little pup. But what I'm getting from it is that he is threatening it as he is yelling Netanyahu. Now, here's the thing. I feel many Westerners, and I would just say Americans, because most Europeans have now been exposed to this and they've allowed themselves to be exposed to this. They've gotten so far from where they once were as these sort of nationalist hubs who understood the importance of a shared culture and value system. They have now allowed the mass invasion of peoples who literally want to see their way of life destroyed. So I'm going to say in America, most people don't understand the full extent of what Islam actually is. Right? I'm not just talking about just, knowing a Muslim. I'm talking about understanding the core ideology, the core framework that all Muslims operate under. Now, I'm not saying that you don't have Muslims who, essentially are not this jihadist extremist. I'm not saying that every single Muslim is some sort of Hamas sympathizer, whatever it is. But the interesting thing is this: when it comes to Islam, and we see this in multitudes of cases, when we have the fundamentalists who are going simply by their book, what the book says, when you have the fundamentalists who are acting in these heinous sort of ways, not just holding the puppy up, I'm talking about full-blown terror attacks, there is silence from a majority of the Muslim community. The so-called moderates, silent. And the reason for that is because if you actually speak in opposition, you're actually speaking in opposition of your own doctrine, because it's in the book, to be a martyr for your cause, to bring absolute destruction to your enemy, i.e. those who are haram, i.e. the Westerner. Whether it is the Jew or the Christian or the secular atheist. Most of us have a difficult time wrapping our mind around that because we're so used to our freedom of speech, our freedom of thought, even within the Jewish community. I mean, just today I saw somebody tweet this. They said, I left a hospital in Tel Aviv and I had a Jewish nurse and a Muslim doctor. So much for an apartheid state, right? When you look at those who are classified as Jews, you have those who are Orthodox and believe everything by the book, by the Torah. Then you have those who are comme c'est comme ça. Then you have those who are on the extreme who believe that Israel doesn't deserve to exist. You have all of that classified as Jewish people, which means that there is a room for diversity in thought and expression. So there will be those who will stand up against any sort of heinous acts. I mean, brother to brother, right? If you look at like the story of Bernie Madoff, he was such an embarrassment to his family after his frauds that his kids and his wife did not even want his ashes. Nobody in his family wanted his ashes. It was that bad. He was a stain upon his family, and those were other Jews. His community who he finessed and finagled. They didn't stand up for him because they're all one coalition. No, they thought he was a terrible human being. And so they stood up against him, and they will speak up and stand up against, those who are quote unquote supposed to be their own. So in the West, there is this delusion unfortunately, even after what we saw September 11th, that, well, I mean, it can't be that bad. You know what I mean? When you haven't had in a while, I guess, when you haven't had that sort of event happen in a while, when you are not the one who is in constant conflict and war, when 99% of your population doesn't have to sign up for the military in order for you to be able to defend yourself, where most of your budget has to go to, creating different levels of intelligence and weapons and things of that nature. You don't have to spend billions of dollars on a dome just to protect yourselves because it is highly likely that you're going to be hit by your own neighbors. If you don't live in that sort of reality, it is almost impossible for you to wrap your mind around the idea that there is a mass of people, close to 2 billion of these people, whose ideology, I'm getting to the doctrinal aspect of things, who hold the ideology that you are their mortal enemy and they must destroy you in order to usher in their own greatest representative, their own savior per se. In order for them to honor and to be worthy of their God, they must destroy you. Now, some people say, well, every religion is that. That's not true. That is not true. In what other doctrine, in what other universal religion, not some fringe cult, is there a belief outside of Islam that these people need to be destroyed? Name one. I'll wait. In what other regime that is ideologically driven, political regime that is ideologically driven, do they yell death to a very specific group of people? I'll wait. Now, some people will want to get pissed off because, they have this idea that, well, if you're criticizing Islam, then you're criticizing the Muslims themselves. You're criticizing brown people. It always gets to a color thing. That's the Marxist kind of way. I mean, I was literally called a racist and anti-brown because I was criticizing Lord Zoran of New York City. Here's the thing. First of all, I thought black people couldn't be racist. So I guess that's out the question now. Guess so. Secondly, yes, anybody can be racist, by the way. It's not reverse racism, it's just racism. Anybody can be. My criticisms are not on a complexion, color, whatever, because the same people who are Christians, who are, practicing different faiths, but mostly Christians, who are being targeted in these Muslim countries, Jews who are being targeted in these Muslim countries, are brown people and quote unquote black people, most of them. So I guess that kind of erases that entire point, right? What I'm criticizing is an ideology that has for far too long, we've not been able to talk about it openly. And in much of Europe right now, you are likely to get in a lot of trouble. Well, not much of Europe, but some European countries. Like, even though the UK, Brexit has split themselves apart, you're still in the fold of Europe as a continent. Ireland. You will find yourself in a cell for criticizing this faith. But yet, if you yell death to these people, you're protected by the law. Freedom of speech. That comes from a people who do not understand what they're dealing with until it's too late. And when I say too late, I say look at Morocco. Morocco used to be a place thriving, hustling and bustling with life, vibrant, color, culture. Shout out to my girl. She is half, so, I get some deep insight into that. And these peoples all of a sudden found themselves veiled, covered, losing their original language, customs, their ways, and not for the good. Because it could be a positive. Much of what has happened in the West has absolutely been a net positive. We may not have liked the execution, but we like the result. When it comes to Islam, it has been regressive in most of its ways, primitive in most of its ways, the ways in which it has affected those it has colonized and conquered, that's exactly what it has done. That's how it got there. So again, taking Morocco as that example is, what did it do to those people? They allowed it in, or it forced itself in, and now it has taken over the entire infrastructure. What do you think is going to happen to the UK, to Ireland, to Germany, Belgium? What do you think the end goal is? Do you think the end goal of a people whose belief system says to wipe out the other, they cannot coexist? Do you think those people are going to say, you know what? These guys seem pretty nice. They seem pretty chill. Let's coexist. Let's live together in harmony and peace. Or do you think they're going to say, we have a law that you need to follow, and we're going to outlaw your law, and we're going to usher in our law. We're going to populate like rabbits to become the majority, and we're going to become the ruling class. And anything that opposes us is going to find its fate on the other side of eternity. Ask the folks in Nigeria right now. Ask the Christians in Nigeria right now. Ask those littered throughout Africa right now. How's that going for them? We don't understand the extent. And so it's easy to sort of go with these fairy tales, these delusions, especially when you're young and you think you really know. Like I'm 29, some would consider me young, some would consider me unk. I'm already uncle to some. But one thing I've learned is that, I actually don't know that much. And therefore I need to educate myself. I need to get to a place of understanding and also learn how to process information outside of emotionality, outside of hive mind and tribe mind. Because that's what's taken place is people have taken on this flag and this kefir right here, and they've made it trendy. It's in vogue. It's the thing to do until they get the next thing to do. But the thing they don't realize with this one is it's not just a cute little trend. It's invasive. It is conquering. It is domineering. It will scare the shit out of puppy. And likely much worse. And that's not a metaphor. That's not a hyperbole. That's the reality. So can we not challenge a religion that is being abandoned by millions who finally find themselves in freedom? Can we not challenge any religion at all? Why is it that there must be a death wish, a fatwa put on the heads of those who question? Why is it that there is an attack on those who question? This reminds me, a lot of, again, as a black man, if you question black culture, how dare you? There is a proverbial fatwa put on you. There's a stain on you. You're not just ostracized. Ostracized would be nice. With this, you are now targeted for that. Why? If this is the religion of peace, as it's been, promoted through heavy PR, then why can we not coexist in our differences? And why must we continuously have to walk on eggshells? Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is is taken. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.